Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, the Beauty Myth. Learn the beauty secrets of the goddess next door in this action-packed Isis series adventure. Get Isis, the Beauty Myth at online booksellers everywhere today.
Last night, the Quaker Corporation announced that it was going to stop using Aunt Jemima as the face of its brand of pancake mix, its syrup, and its frozen waffles. And in September of 2020, they say they're going to relaunch their pancake mix, syrup, and frozen waffles under a brand new name. Now, there are some in the black community celebrating this as some sort of victory because they believe this image that was rooted from the Mammy caricature of Jim Crow is no longer going to be featured on its products, that they've achieved some sort of accomplishment. But when I take a critical examination of this decision to stop using Aunt Jemima as the face for Quaker's pancake mix, syrup, and frozen waffles, I see yet another one of these empty symbolic gestures made by these corporations in order to try to pacify black people in the short term while continuing to participate in racism and white supremacy in the long term. Because while many people are saying that this image will no longer be associated with the Aunt Jemima product, what's happening is that these corporations are looking to passively give black people some sort of gesture to say that they're fighting racism, but aggressively they're doing absolutely nothing to facilitate any sort of real change. Because if these companies were really genuine about bringing real change to black people, they would be focused on economic empowerment of black people. Because as I see it, what does the discontinuation of Aunt Jemima as a brand do for black people in the long term? Yes, we no longer have this racist image rooted in the Mammy caricature on the product on supermarket store shelves, but we still have modern day Mammies being sponsored and supported by corporations like Quaker in the faces of people like your Candace Owens and many of your modern day rappers who go out here and participate in a modern day minstrel show. And these entertainers go out here and present this caricaturized image rooted in the Mammy, but nobody wants to take those images down because those images continue to make money for many of these corporations. And these images are still out here on the mainstream media platforms, but these companies will sit there and say, yes, we took down Aunt Jemima and we're fighting racism and we're fighting to promote people of color. But what does that do for black people in the long term? That's the critical question I ask corporations like Quaker who make these symbolic gestures to black people. What are you doing to go out here and address issues like the wealth gap, which was created by discrimination, and the terrorism that black people have suffered in places back during the Jim Crow period, like what happened in Black Wall Street and what happened in Rosewood? What is being done to give black people the equal opportunity at employment they were promised with affirmative action, which was supposed to correct past discrimination as related to black men, but led to white women becoming the number one benefactor as related to affirmative action, because white women are the ones who get most of the jobs, followed by black and Hispanic women, because most corporations passively wanted to get their diversity, but aggressively wanted to take a jab at the black man by emasculating him, by hiring his woman, and then using his woman to take his economy away from him and turn it into a consumer-based economy where 97% of black dollars wind up flowing out of the black community and flowing into other white and non-black hands. And these economic issues are not being addressed by the discontinuation of Aunt Jemima as a product, because those same consumers are going to, black consumers, are going to go from buying Aunt Jemima to buying the other brand. So how is that going to make black dollars flow back to the black community to address the black wealth gap that continues to go on? And that's, again, another critical question, excuse me, I propose to your Quaker, because I see how much of an empty gesture it is to tell black people, yes, we're discontinuing this Aunt Jemima brand because of this image rooted in racism, but we're not really addressing the current modern day racism that keeps most black people in poverty. Because I have to ask another critical question: how many black men are going to get jobs from this gesture to discontinue your Aunt Jemima? Just like I asked many of these other corporations, how many of these black people are going to get employed at places like Apple, who are made a statement, or corporations that donated money to places like the NAACP, which was not even founded by black people? How many black men are going to get employment, and how many black women are going to get employment at Quaker and get an opportunity at economic empowerment? Moreover, how many black-owned businesses like my SJS Direct imprint are going to receive some sort of benefit from corporations like your Quaker, who make these statements and make these empty gestures? How many black-owned businesses are going to get any sort of opportunity to advance themselves or be able to get some sort of economic opportunity to build their business as related to these kinds of gestures? And this is the kind of stuff that groups like Black Lives Matter aren't thinking about, because your Black Lives Matter is a very emotional organization, and it is not really focused on black empowerment, and it is not focused on a black agenda. They will take a symbolic gesture like this and see it as a victory, but I don't see it as a victory, because, again, I look at all of the brothers and sisters out here who are out of work, who are unemployed, and then some who have not even gotten an opportunity to get employed, and they're not going to get anything out of this outside of another chance to buy another consumer product from a white-owned corporation that is going to get rich at its expense. So I'm not seeing how people like black farmers who go out here and grow wheat are going to get any money out of this. I'm not seeing how the brothers and sisters with college degrees are going to get anything out of this. All I see, again, is another one of these empty gestures, which, while we're having these protests over George Floyd's murder, really aren't doing anything to correct any of the real issues that are keeping black people from moving forward in this society. All I'm seeing are a bunch of, again, empty gestures that are meant to symbolize fighting against racism, while not actually addressing the real core foundation as related to black economics and black economic empowerment. The whole mainstream status quo still remains in place, while this archaic image of a mammy is retired. But these modern day mammies are doing far more damage. I mean, people like your Candace Owens, your Cardi B, and many other images out here of black women, they are doing far more damage to the black female image than anything else out here. But no one is wanting to address those mammies. Nobody's asking them to change their image to reflect a more positive picture of black women. Nobody's asking them to go out here. All these people do is donate money, but black men and women don't need you to donate money to fight whatever cause. What we need is jobs, employment, and money to go out here and build our black community. Because if we go out here and we had the resources to go out here and build our own and take care of our own families, then we would not need anything like social programs. We would not need anything as related to fighting so-called causes. We would go out here and do for self. But the problem is, we have most of these companies, they want to go out here and donate money, but they want to keep the same system of white supremacy in place because they benefit when black men and black women continue to remain poor and impoverished, and they need black people at the bottom in order to remain at the top. So when I look at this big picture, again, yes, it's a nice thing that Aunt Jemima is no longer on the package of these Quaker products, but this does absolutely nothing for the average black man and black woman out here, because the average black man and average black woman still is either unemployed, underemployed, and still at the bottom of the economic totem pole. And this is the problem that many of these companies don't want to correct. They just want to give you a symbolic gesture, well, on the surface, that makes black people feel good, but does not allow them to grow in any way economically, where they can go out here and build their own system as related to around their community and around taking care of their own business. So I don't really need a Aunt Jemima off the box of a Quaker Oats, because we already have, again, modern day mammies like a Candace Owens, like a Cardi B, and many of these other black celebrities out here. They're already being modern day mammies, presenting this old stereotype in new and different ways. What I need from these companies to know, are they going to offer me a job? Are they going to offer these young brothers and sisters out here jobs? And are they going to allow any of us to get an equal opportunity at getting the American dream? And are we going to be able to get an economic opportunity that won't be hampered or hindered by racist employees at these companies, or sabotaged by modern day mammies and people who want to go out here and look to destroy other black men and black women who are looking to build? Those are the critical questions I have to ask these companies, because a lot of these companies, they talk about this diversity, but they really aren't about diversity. They're all about this symbolism and pretending to present this image of helping and caring about black people while continuing to benefit and profit from the same white supremacy and racism that have allowed them to become rich for over a century. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my books featuring positive images of black women, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the book A Recipe for Success, the Thetas, and the Spinsterella trilogy, you may do so by clicking the links to Amazon.com, where you can pick up all those books in paperback and Kindle format. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spinsterella. Discover the dark side of love in this goth and lovely romance with Spinsterella. Get Spinsterella in paperback and e-readers at your favorite online bookseller today.